There are certain moments in life when you look around and think, how did I get here? Not in some grand philosophical way or a beautiful cinematic, I have crossed a threshold into destiny kind of way. I mean, in the much less glamorous sense of this. How did I end up staring at a contractor quote, trying to determine the fair market value of me wandering around in the dark looking for female fireflies? Because that is where I was. And let me tell you something. Nothing prepares you for the deeply humbling experience of realizing that a university would like to register you as a vendor for bug-related services. Not a teacher, not a speaker, not a normal person with a civilized skill set. No, a bug contractor. That is apparently what I am now. And if that sounds fake, I assure you it is not. I got an email explaining that they wanted to pay me for my efforts and my costs for an upcoming research trip. And at first I thought, oh, okay, travel reimbursement, that makes sense. It's reasonable. It's normal. And then the layers began to unfold. Travel, lodging, meals, and payment for my services. My services? Because in my head, I was not providing services. I was catching bugs. That's it. Never mind that these are elusive female Photurus frontalis. Never mind that I keep finding them while other people have a hard time doing so. Never mind that I have spent years learning their habits, where they sit, how they flash, what they do, and how not to spook them. No, my brain reduced all of that into one offensive little sentence. You are trying to charge people money to catch bugs. I didn't just wonder whether the number was fair. I descended into a full moral meltdown. What is the ethical price of bug catching? At what dollar amount does lightning bug knowledge become greed? I was having a full-blown moral crisis over a quote. Meanwhile, the people on the other end were extremely calm. This kind of talk was normal. It was no big deal. They were sending messages like, you have complete freedom with the structure. You're the contractor. And it just has to make sense and be reasonable. What are we doing, ordering dinner? They were basically saying, hi, Amber, please tell us what your bug work is worth. And I was somewhere in the corner, spiraling, trying to crunch numbers, like my reputation depended on it. I'm only catching bugs. I'm only helping find females, telling them where to look, and explaining how to catch them. You know, nothing major. Actual marketable skills that I was formally trained in? Skills I actually have? No. There's no money in that. Catching bugs? Apparently, that's where the big money is. Bring in the big money! My husband, who is extremely supportive of my firefly research, kept saying how excited he was for me. You're so passionate about this. Passionate? Is it passion? Or is it mania? Because there's a fine line right there. It's amazing how fast conscience can become stupid. Because if another person had told me this exact story, I would have said, well, obviously they should pay you. This is specialized field work. You're traveling, you're helping with research, you're providing your expertise. But when it's you, suddenly you become some kind of barefoot fraud wandering through the underbrush with delusions of invoice grandeur. At one point, I was genuinely distressed over whether travel days should count. No one was fighting me on this, and it wasn't because anyone thought I was being unreasonable. It wasn't that the researchers were offended, even. No, they were kind. They were actually very supportive, and they kept saying things to let me know that they were actively looking out for me. I was the problem. I was like, surely I must not profit from my nerdy knowledge of tiny glowing ladies of the night. And then, just to make the whole thing worse, the trip was expensive anyway. The lodging was more than I wanted it to be. The travel was more than I wanted it to be. Everything was more than I had hoped, because apparently the economy has decided that existing anywhere other than your own home should cost an arm, a leg, and your firstborn. So now I'm trying to build a quote while also trying not to feel like I'm robbing anyone. And eventually I sent the lowered quote because I needed to be able to live with myself. And the second I did, I got a text from the lady leading the whole operation. She basically told me that if I had any trouble with anybody, to let her know. Which was both reassuring and, honestly, comically timed. So instead of feeling triumphant, I felt what I usually feel in situations like this. A powerful desire to scream into the void. Because that is what adulthood is, apparently. No confidence. Just guilt and obscure wildlife specialization that no one except Lynn Faust is impressed by. But after all this, I think the thing that got me was realizing that what felt small to me didn't look small to them. To me, this is wonder. This is obsession. This is me noticing things and writing them down, caring too much as I crawl around in the leaf litter looking for the tiny sparkling ladies of the night, like some kind of deranged bug stalker. But to them, it was useful. It was knowledge. It was help they weren't getting anywhere else. And I suppose that's the part I'm still trying to learn. Just because something feels humble does not mean it has no value. And just because it sounds ridiculous when you say, I got paid to catch bugs, does not mean that is the whole truth. Still sounds ridiculous though. I would like that entered into the record.